Hi guys, welcome to Banned Book Week 2024. Alright, you guys, we've been away for a while. It feels like this is the longest I have ever been away from filming, even though it's not. It is no longer than I was away from filming than last year. But I feel like just so much has happened in this last year that it feels like a lifetime. But let's jump right into Banned Book Week, because this Banned Book Week is probably the most where I'm like, okay, maybe maybe I can see why this book in particular, or this book, maybe shouldn't be in some schools, like lower grade schools. Like, I am not for banning books at all, but maybe removing them from some lower school libraries, maybe I get it just a little bit. Okay, so let's start this week off with Parable of the Sower by Octavia E. Butler. Yeah, so this one, I'm not gonna lie, it was a little real, and it was the first. I am going in order of how I read them. So this was the first book I read for Banned Book Week, and it was like, wow, we're starting off real here, because the book takes place in 2024, and it's dystopian fiction. It's like, oh no. So it was written in 1993, I believe. Yep. And Octavia E. Butler might be just a skosh psychic, because yikers. So like I said, it takes place in 2024, and the world has kind of collapsed, societally speaking, because of global warming and economic downfall due to the rich getting too rich, and then the poor just kind of suffering horribly for it. Yeah. And so the rich are the elite and don't really care about how bad the poor are suffering, and the poor are just left to suffer. Kind of feel that. So our book centers around Lauren. I'm not going to try and pronounce her last name because I will butcher it and then feel bad. She's a black woman, and due to drug use, that her mother used drugs while she was pregnant with Lauren. Lauren is born with what is called hyperempathy. And so the book kind of follows Lauren as her family is displaced in this dystopian society, and it follows as Lauren is separated from her family, and her father is a preacher who follows like what you would expect normal, like, Christian doctrine. And as she is separated from her family and has to kind of travel this dystopian wasteland, Lauren starts to kind of develop her own beliefs and thought processes about God and religion, and develops this religion of her own called Earthseed, and starts writing these books, and it just kind of follows her journey, and like the people she meets, and how she kind of starts I don't want to use the word cult because it's a negative, and I kind of respect Lauren and her beliefs and how she's trying to change things, but she kind of creates this following of believers in her new religion. and it just follows like everything they have to go through. And because with banned books, you tend to get a lot of older books, and some of them are not amazing. And I just didn't know what to expect with this book, and I ended up really, really liking it, so much so that I read the second one, and I think I like the second one better than the first one, even though it is so sad. Like, it is so sad. But I just really liked this book. And I 100% understand why some reasons more than others, why parents wanted to ban this book. So let's get into that. Why was Parable of the Sower banned? So I almost didn't cover this book, but I loved it so much, and I just really wanted to share it with you guys. But I almost didn't cover this book for Banned Book Week, because even though it is on banned book lists all over the place, I cannot find any citations of when, where, and why it was banned. Like, I scoured and I cannot find a single, like, actual source. Like, why, when, where was it banned? And that is crazy to me, because every year when I do Banned Book Week, there's just so many. This was banned in this school, by this community, for this reason, this reason, this reason. For so many books. So I am still very confused as to why I can't cite you any sources as to why this book was banned. But I can tell you why I'm pretty sure this book was banned. So, like, topics in this book would be very tough for children and some young adults to be confronted by. There's a lot of talk in the book of rape happening, or a fear of it happening to the characters, but it does, like, the characters see it happening or about to happening quite a lot, because it's just kind of a Mad Max society. Like, the police, like, you can call them, but, like, good luck of them coming, and then you have to pay them. So, like, is it even worth it? But it's not. The assaults themselves are never really described in detail, so it's not like I get it, like, it's in there, but it's not in there. There's also, like, some hinted at, like, sexy scenes, but even those aren't really descriptive either. There's definitely swearing, violence, but for me, and I mean, people will nitpick and say it's definitely for those reasons, but for me, I think the real reason this book would be challenged by most parents, school boards, church-going folk, is because this book really challenges the idea of God. And, like, the character really questions the validity of God. And, like, I really loved some of her, like, reasoning behind why she starts to question, like, is God, like, really a thing? Like, is this really the person, like, holding all the cards and calling all the shots? Because this really isn't checking out for me. And as someone myself who has kind of gone on that journey, I really connected with that part of this book. And for me, that is the most reasonable explanation as to why this book was probably banned the most, because a lot of Christians church-going folk don't like when books do that. They don't like when their children read fiction that might get them thinking thoughts that disagree with what they're trying to pour into their kids' head. So I fully understand that they might want to ban this book. Definitely. Yeah. The one thing I will say, if you're going into reading this book and you like expect the hyper empathy to be like something that really comes into play in like a supernatural aspect, don't get your hopes up, because I don't know, like I was expecting so much more from that, and it just doesn't really play as huge of a part as I thought. I feel like it plays more of a part in the second book. Like it's definitely mentioned and it comes up a couple of times, but I don't feel like it played, I guess, maybe the part I thought it would. With it being like almost this like supernatural ability she has. I don't know. So that was different. But yeah, so I understand why you would not want this book in middle schools, maybe even junior high, because it's very heavy. It gets pretty violent at times. But this would be an excellent book for high schoolers. Excellent. I mean, if they can get through it, because there's a lot of like talking and like not a ton of like action, or it is a lot of like Lauren preaching her like newfound beliefs and trying to work through like what she believes. So but I really enjoyed this book. I highly recommend it and the sequel. They're very sad books, but I think they're really profound in what they're trying to say, and I highly recommend them. And yeah, I think they're very, very good books to start off Banned Book Week if you are looking for reads. So yeah. Alright, so that was Parable of the Sower. Let me know down in the comments below if you have read it and the sequel, what your thoughts on it were, if you think it should be banned from schools. I mean, and some of these bans reach to libraries too. We all know how some of these people get. So yeah, let me know your thoughts. And I will see you tomorrow for Banned Book Week Day 2. Alright, I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow.